Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video I'm going to be doing a review and blood glucose test on the Lakanto Sugar Free Brownie Mix. From time to time, my grocery store will have keto-friendly, or at least labeled keto items in their clearance section, and that's where I picked up this Lakanto Brownie Mix. I got it for $1.68 for this package. And while that sounds like a heck of a deal, let's take a look at the ingredients and nutritional information, then do a taste test and glucose test and see if it's really worth it. So we'll start with the nutritional information, and this appears to be just the mix. It does not include the coconut oil or eggs that you use to make it. So just the mix, 40 calories, 0 grams of total fat, 27 grams of total carbohydrates. So if you're counting total carbs, this is off the table. Of those 27 grams, 15 are fiber and 9 are sugar alcohol for a net 3 grams. And there is 1 gram of protein. Now, in terms of the ingredients, they always do this at the grocery store. They'll either cover up the carbohydrates or they'll cover up the ingredients with their sticker, and these are pretty much impossible to get off. So I'm gonna have to look up the ingredients on the internet. And there are a few things on here that could be a concern in terms of spiking my glucose. Tapioca fiber. Number 1 ingredient, that one is really kind of a wild card I've found in a lot of keto products. Non-GMO Lakanto monk fruit sweetener, which is erythritol and monk fruit extract, Dutched cocoa, chickpea flour, sugarcane fiber, acacia gum, oat fiber, sea salt, baking powder, guar gum, and natural flavors. So now that we got that out of the way, let's see how easy this is to make and how it tastes. Making these is pretty straightforward. It's just the bag of mix, 2 large eggs, and 2/3 of a cup of melted coconut oil. Then we'll give this a good mix with a hand mixer. Transfer the mixture into an 8-inch by 8-inch baking dish, which I have oiled. Smooth it all out, nice and even, or pretty even, and pop this into a 350-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes. After 20 minutes, it fails the toothpick test, still moist, so back into the oven for another 5 minutes. It wound up being about 28 minutes before I got a dry toothpick out of this, so now they're ready to go for a taste test. All right, I can tell so far the texture is pretty moist, which I like in a brownie. It's not bad. But there's something just, what is that? It's weird because it's moist, yet it also has sort of a powdery feel in my mouth. It doesn't taste real chocolatey either. I'm trying to figure out what this tastes like. Yeah, it's really weird. It doesn't taste like any brownie that I've ever had. And the texture is really right on the edge of off-putting. It feels like there's this residual powderiness in my mouth, even though these are super moist. Not in love with the flavor on these, but I'll be curious to see what the glucose response is. I am back with the blood glucose results, and I measured this using a Dexcom G7 continuous glucose monitor. So I measured this over the course of 2 hours, during which time I didn't do anything else, I didn't eat anything else, I didn't do anything that might impact my blood glucose results. And I'm using the Levels Health app, which I'll link down below in the description. It's basically an app that pulls in the Dexcom info and does a little bit deeper analysis. So let's see how this scored. A 10. That is a perfect score. That is the best score that Levels provides. Let's dive into the details. So you can see it was a stable response. You can see that graph. Basically, there was no upward movement. You can pretty much ignore that 107 for my starting glucose because this was just the second day on this particular CGM, and they do tend to run a little bit high, even though I tried calibrating it. Using my Keto Mojo and just a finger stick for blood, I was actually at a starting point of about 92. So my glucose wasn't that high when I started, and it continued to go down after I ate this. So excellent glucose response, a little bit of a surprise given that tapioca fiber. Unfortunately, the taste on these was just okay. I tried putting some peanut butter on a bite a little bit later after I did the glucose test, and that was better. And I also think with the leftovers that I have, maybe if I reheat them in the air fryer and then top them with a scoop of keto ice cream, that could be tasty. But the other big problem, and it's a big problem, is if you're buying this not on clearance, this is about $10 or $11 per package, which to me is just out of line. I mean, I'm not paying over $1 for a brownie that's sort of mediocre. Now, maybe you can find this on clearance. I guess if it were maybe in the $4 range or less, I would consider it. But at the regular price, I gotta say this is a no-go, despite the great glucose response. Now, if you've tried these and perhaps done a little bit of tweaking to the recipe to make them better, let me know down in the comments below. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you found it interesting and or helpful. If you did, please click that like button. If you're not a subscriber already, tap that subscribe button, then hit the bell to turn on all notifications. And if you'd like to get some behind the scenes info on what's going on with Serious Keto, what's coming up, and never miss any of my videos, sign up for the weekly email newsletter. The link is down in the description below. Thanks for watching.